I think we'll come back to Peanuts when we talk a little more about influences, but yeah, I'm going to make an argument for why the subtle difference between the Peanuts characters and Calvin and Hobbes. But let's go ahead and dive into, a portrait of the artist as a young man. So again, the strip was created by Bill Watterson, William Boyd Watterson II, who was born July 5th, 1958. So we're already talking generations and things like that. If we count 64 as the tail end of the boomers, he's the tail end, but he's definitely a boomer, which again is interesting if I'm making the assertion that he molded Gen X in a way. Watterson lived in Alexandria, Virginia until age 6. His father was a patent examiner for the Department of Commerce. But in 1965, the family, which also now included a younger brother, moved to Chagrin or Chagrin. It's spelled Chagrin, but Chagrin Falls, Ohio, I think, which is a suburb of Cleveland. And apparently the house that he grew up in did have a big hill in the backyard, according to his biographer, which is useful because, sledding down hills is a big part of the Calvin and Hobbes strips. By the way, I should mention that a lot of the biographical stuff I got from a book called Looking for Calvin and Hobbes by Nevin Martell. But the bottom line is Chagrin Falls, by all accounts, is a classic Midwestern idyllic town with, a still functional downtown, picket fences and the like. And Daniel, I've given you, as I always do, a list of rabbit hole facts that I found while doing research. So could you do me a favor and hit me with number 1 real quick?
Absolutely. I am eager to learn that apparently there is a Stone Temple Pilots connection to Calvin and Hobbes.
Well, I wish there was a deeper one, but given this is an 80s, 90s show, I couldn't resist. Another kid that grew up in Chagrin Falls about a decade later than Watterson was Scott Weiland, the front person of the Stone Temple Pilots. I don't have any sense that they ran across each other or anything like that, but again, I couldn't resist throwing that in.
They weren't in the same treehouse club, the Get Rid of Slimy
That
Girls.
would be great if they were engrossed together. Yeah, that would be much better. But it is interesting also too. Like, so Scott Weiland, famously a rock and roller, had some personal issues and demons and things like that. Everything that I've been able to find biographically about Bill Watterson, and especially Bill as a young boy, is that he's not Calvin. If Calvin is this, sort of rambunctious out there kid, everything that the biographers have found that I was able to find was that that was not what Bill was. Calvin is not autobiographical. There's a quote from Bill's father that said he was a conservative child, not that he was unimaginative, because of course he was, but in a fantasy way. It was nothing like Calvin. He didn't have an imaginary friend like Hobbes, and he wasn't a Dennis the Menace. But Watterson's dad did have Peanuts books, some Charles Schulz collections. We should say, again, if you're not familiar, Peanuts is sort of like the lodestar, the base of 20th century newspaper comics. There's a quote from the Wall Street Journal where Bill admits that it was reading those books that from a young age made him want to dream of becoming the next Charles Schulz, which hit me with rabbit hole fact number 2.
As a child, Watterson apparently wrote Schulz a fan letter and did get a response.
Right, and he was so thrilled by this that he writes a second one and got another response back that was identical. So it was a form letter, which maybe that's useful.
Sparky.
Well, and also this might shed some light on what we'll talk about later. Like, this maybe was a never meet your heroes moment,
Sure.
But anyway, by 7th grade, Watterson is drawing cartoons and pictures for his friends. In middle school and into high school, he's drawing all the time. And a lot of it is superhero stuff, drawing his friends as superhero characters having adventures. And in fact, rabbit hole fact number 3.